Well, hey everybody. It's the 22nd day of February 2026. I'm Jan Erickson, and this is As Above, So Below. Well, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's happening in Mexico, but good Lord. Scary. Let's go ahead and get started here. Well, if a rune would ever fall in my hand, there we go. We have Rado. Now, Rado is the fifth rune of the Elder Futhark. It means soul journey. It can mean rider and horse. So when you think rider and horse, you think about integration, collaboration, moving in unison, understanding the subtle kinds of expectations that you have with somebody close to you, a partner or somebody that maybe you're in maybe collaborating with at work or something. You get in tune with one another. And so there could be something with respect to that here today, or well, for the next week. Could be issues of that, or maybe some improvements in it. Let's see what the Geomancy runes have to say, though. There's water. What do we have here? There's fire, air. Well, we have Albus. Albus and Rubius are complements. We had Albus last week as well. Now Albus is you've got Rubius on one hand, which is a misuse of force, very ego-centered, could be violent. Whereas Albus, on the other hand, is the sage or the wise person, or wisdom, higher wisdom, clarity. It can also a little bit mean superficial, maybe, because your head is so much there that maybe you have a hard time integrating with people. But generally speaking, this is a very positive rune. And so with Rado, you're looking at the idea of process over the goal, and so how you integrate with other people from a higher perspective, from higher clarity, this week is gonna matter. Let's take a look at the cards though and see what we have there. I've already done some shuffling, so I'm not going to do very much here. Let's go ahead and cut the deck. Take the lower half. Take 3 cards. We have one from the suit of swords, one from the suit of wands, and one from the major arcana. And that one is going to now be the moon. But before we get started here, where is my calculator? There it is. Well, let's do this here. So Rado is the 5th rune of the Elder Futhark. Plus we have the moon, which is 18. The 18th card 18. And then the 7 of swords and the 6 of wands. So that's 36. So that's going to be 9. Let me do it one more time. 5 plus 18 plus 7 plus 6. Yep, 36. So numerology for the reading is going to be 9. Now 9 is endings, completion. It's also about spirituality and generosity. So again, if you're looking at Rado as a higher self rune, and you're looking at Albus in the same way, where you access higher wisdom basically and clarity in terms of the integration you have with other people, or the partnerships you have, or collaborative effort you have. However, this is going to resonate for you, because it's going to resonate in different ways for different people listening to this. With 9, you could have, if you don't want to think of it in terms of endings and completion, then maybe there's an aspect of spirituality here that seems to dovetail with both Rado and Albus. But let's see where we get when we get to the end of this. Start with the moon. Now the moon, you see the moon looking down on the wolf and the dog. You've got dark and light there. Essentially, you've got the wild and the tame, or the domesticated. You see the crayfish coming up out of the pond there, crayfishes and lobsters and serpents that shed their skin. Same with the crayfish and lobsters. It's about a sense of renewal or rebirth or transformation. You see the pathway going that winds up here between the two towers. So right away you're looking at balance, and also balance here with the canines, if you will. You see the mountains in the background, and basically what you're talking about here with the moon is dreams and emotions and balance and cycles, and again, rebirth and transformation. It could be about awakening, intuition, illusion, though, and change and deception. The thing about the moon is that it can be very deceptive. It can be something where something is being veiled that you're not knowing about. So let's keep that in mind here. But if you just look at this in terms of a card of balance, balancing the wild with the tame, essentially, keeping a better balance there, especially in terms of this being a major arcana card, which is a soul archetype card. So again, it's the main ideas that a soul, when it comes into reality as the Fool, is then going to have these major things that they're going to be dealing with while that person individual is here in form. And so I think that we're going to probably look at Rado and Albus and the moon with the same type of weight and the same type of energy. And so there could just be something here where you're achieving a better balance by not allowing reaction to get the better of you with either a partner or with a collaborative effort with a bunch of partners, essentially. And so it just could be that you're finding a more middle ground with respect to something. So if it is partnership and you've been having some issues of late that are communication issues, remember that we're in the shadow period, or the pre-shadow period of Mercury retrograde, which I believe happens on the 26th, if I'm not mistaken. And so that'd be 23rd, 24th. So what would that be? Thursday, I guess. I always work ahead on my writing and stuff for the blog, and so I'm kind of into another headspace there at this moment. But I believe it's 26, and I think that's Thursday. Anyway. Miscommunication could be happening right now, even before Mercury retrograde actually is in effect, and then for about a week or so at the end of it, you have the after shadow effect, where so instead of 3 weeks, it's really more like 5, depending on if you're somebody that Mercury retrograde impacts. And so you could just be having some miscommunication right now that is just sort of tiptoeing around with that until Thursday on the 26th when retrograde actually happens. But the idea that having a different balance, taking the middle ground, finding a way to collaborate, especially if there have been some issues where maybe you think your partner or someone in a collaborative effort is not being as honest as they might be. Here you have another card of balance. It's a 7, so 7 of swords. Swords is about the air element and our intellect. So again, deception versus truth, legal matters, letting things, for me, 7 means to let a situation settle so that you can understand the bigger picture before you make a decision. Make sure you've got all the facts. And because sometimes, you jump in and you react to something and it's not really, you end up overstepping a little bit because you really don't know what the real truth of the matter is. And so if there is a partnership issue or in a collaborative effort at work or something where it just seems like you're not communicating, and you need to find a better way, and it can't, I'll be me, and there has to be an area of compromise, or at least a willingness to hear what the other people have to say, or your partner has to say. And how I typically look at the Seven of Swords is leveling the playing field through more information, essentially. Here you have the king's tents over here and the king's men, and they've left their swords out. Very likely they've either left them on the ground, the ones that this person has, or they've been sticking into the ground, and he's grabbed a few of them. And he's likely from the town, and he's just trying to head off some disaster that the king's men could do to the village or to the town. They probably don't have the means to protect themselves. The king's men are more powerful. And so to understand their battle plans, essentially, it levels the playing field. So that's how I get to that with this particular card. It can also be theft of intellectual property, where maybe somebody's stealing your ideas. And sometimes that happens at work, where people that you're collaborating with, they really don't have anything to offer. And so maybe they'll be the ones that come to the boss and say, oh, I came up with this idea when it was actually you. I've seen that happen more times than is comfortable, really. And it doesn't feel good, because then you're having to, you either do or you don't. You either stand up for yourself or you let it go. But because sometimes it just puts you in a really, really untenable position that no matter what you say, the boss has already heard it first from this person, and maybe you end up being viewed as the one with the real problem instead of the one that stole your idea. So there's a couple of ways that I can look at this card, but I think that gathering more information is probably the most neutral way to see this card. Because when you do that, when you gather more information and in other words, you understand what's in the mind of your partner, or again, if this is a collaboration at work or something, and you understand where people are coming from, then it makes it a lot easier, I think, to then drop resistance to new ideas and not be so threatened by them, or willing to say, well, no, let's do it my way. My way is the only way. And so again, when you talk about radio, you're talking about process over the goal. So how you get there matters. I mean, getting to the goal matters, but it can't be where you're at loggerheads or undermining one another or anything like that. And again, with Mercury coming into retrograde, it's very easy to misinterpret what people say. Sometimes you read into what they say, and you really shouldn't do that. If someone says something, and just take it at face value, and then later on, if you have a question, well, you can say at that time, okay, but what about this, or what about that, and what did you mean by this? I'm not very clear on that, so could you expand on that a little bit, so I understand a little better where you're coming from. Do it, in other words, in a non-threatening way. And with Mercury retrograde coming, we don't want to assume anything. We want to be sure about things and clear. And again, that's where Albus comes in, and the idea of higher clarity, and going from that basis. But with the moon, we don't want to deal with any deception from anybody either, but it could be that they're just hesitant to share what they really feel too, if it's a partnership thing. So it may not be actual deception, but it may come across that way. But they're afraid of maybe your response or your reaction or whatever. So we need to be very clear this week about what things mean. Be sure of what the real truth of things are. Let the situation settle a bit, maybe before reacting, so you're absolutely sure that you know what's the truth of the matter is. And find a way to take that middle road, if you will, with the moon, and strike that balance between, the domestic side of self and the wild child, and making sure that one or the other is not, you can look at it in terms of projective and receptive presence, and you want to strike a nice balance between the two this week. And when you do, I think you're going to be a whole lot more successful. Here we have a man of means. It may be the king. I kind of doubt it because he's not wearing a crown, but he is wearing a wreath. So wherever he's been, there's maybe a meeting of all the different landowners or something in the kingdom have come together, and a good outcome came from it. He's also got another wreath affixed to his staff there that he's holding, and then everybody's following along with him. So maybe these are the people that went with him, or they're the townspeople that came back with him to meet him on the road, and they're all walking back together. But either way, if this is you in a collaborative situation with others, coming together and walking a shared path in the same direction, being on the same page with everybody, which can happen through more information with the 7, taking a balanced approach, emotionally and assertive wise, having and being very honest and clear about your expectations with Albus. And again, all of that basically describing the process over the goal. When you do all of that, then you may be more successful than you would otherwise. So again, you get your ducks in a row. 6 is about empathy. It's about guidance, assistance. It's also about shared path, going in the same direction. And so I think that, again, taking that extra time, especially right now, over the next 3 or 4 weeks, the next month or so, taking that time to be clear, and to ask for the same from others, because whether this just covers this next week, or maybe it's going to extend out a little further with Mercury's influence here. You've also got the Saturn conjunction with Neptune going on, and that's going to go on for a while. I don't know when that's going to start lessening, but it's very strong right now still. And Saturn is all about due diligence, and it's about time. It's slowing everything down. And again, when you take the 7 here, and from the 7 of Swords, and you let things settle, that's part of that slowing down and being absolutely sure of what's going on. And then Neptune is about dissolving. And now that it's in Aries, it's kind of a weird dissolving, but it's going to get to the heart of things. It's going to get to the truth of things. So if this isn't something at work or something else you're collaborating with others on, if it's a partnership thing, you and someone else, then you should have the courage to let the truth come out about whatever this is. And if a frank and honest discussion needs to be had, then so be it. So you've got a lot of different energies this week, and for the foreseeable future. They're very similar, I think. And so just be aware this might be a continuous thing for a little while, not just for this week. But again, if you take that time to truly understand what the truth of the matter is, what the situation's really all about, how somebody feels about things, giving everybody a voice, having everybody have the ability to truly collaborate instead of feeling like they just got to sit back and, oh, well, I really don't have any good ideas. Well, everybody does, and everybody doesn't. So that's just coming from within someone and not what the real truth is. And who knows, maybe somebody that tends to hang back maybe has the answer to everything this week. And so that would be a really positive thing to encourage and support, with your team member, if that's what this is. So it can either be a team building week or not so much. And so, but I think that's what we're talking about here. I think that, and again, with Mercury coming into retrograde, you don't ever buy you don't ever buy electronics during that time. It just, some people breeze right through it and they don't even notice, but other people do. And if you find yourself there this week where things are you're not getting together on what's really happening, and just realize that some of this is just the energy of the moment. And so again, try not to take it too seriously, but at the same time, have the integrity to stand up and say, you know what, we need to understand this a little bit better, and let's talk some more and hear what everybody has to say, and give that to support to everybody else in that's involved here this week, that this might apply to. So anyhow, I think that's it. I think we did it. It's still cold here. We had a little bit of dusting of snow on a couple of days, but it's clear now. It's a nice day, windy. But hopefully I've got some clematis seeds I've stuck in the. I've not done clematis from seed before. I took it from my clematis plants last year, and I've got it cold stratifying in the refrigerator for a couple months, and so we'll see. Maybe I can grow some from the seed from my existing plants. I'd really love to do that because I love clematis. I just think it's so cool looking. But anyway, that's what I was doing today. I'm holding off on doing I was supposed to do my onion seed, but I think it's about a month too early. So I think it's going to be the middle of March before I start those. I think I did my math wrong on when I was going to do that, but it's all ready to go. The little 6-packs with dirt in them and all soil in them. They're all ready to go, but I'm going to wait a little bit on that. But otherwise, we're looking forward to a nice week and hopefully no snow, although the mountains can sure use it anyway. Thanks for watching, and check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The web address there is imsteppingaside.com. The daily readings are out. The general astrological forecast is out. Well, it's all on the same page, but anyway, when you go there, it's just all right there. But there's the correspondences for work and magic. There's a weekly overview of where the moon is, stuff like that, whether it's waxing or waning or what phase it's in and things like that. Void, of course, times, and that's all there, and then down at the bottom there's the recommendations and tips for work and magic. So that's always there. It's the other stuff that changes, but I keep that down at the bottom because it doesn't change unless I find something else I want to add to it or something, then it would. But anyway, but again, thanks for watching, and come back again next Sunday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.